Well, let me tell you a little something about me. When it's Saturday night, I need to blow off some steam. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I've been rolling in since o'clock in Monday morning. From the end of the week, I'm bound to blow. We're walking to the honky tonk like a pack of wolves now. Order of a round of drops and it's away we go.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here from the podcast studio at IRAY Companies, and we're here to kind of just run through some topics and kind of share some of the things that we're doing and what's going on in this world. So again, I'm Ray Henry from IRAY, and why don't you guys introduce yourselves here?
I'm Troy, your oldest son, and I'm president of Brett.
I'm Logan. You guys know me. I mean, it's those people who don't know us. So I'm Logan from both the IRAY Companies and Brad Software, president or vice president of Brad Software. Old Troy over there is president. And then Jordan over here is the man.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. I am the UX designer and partially graphic designer of both as well.
Amazing.
So guys, I know that we've got a lot of things that we wanted to cover today, and it's kind of a little bit of a new thing, and we're just going to pop it off and make sure that, we're having fun, but at the same time, we're going to educate some people on some different topics that, that we're pretty much aware of and that we understand what's going on. So why don't we
talk about all the good stuff here that we've been doing around here.
Yeah.
So I guess that first things first, but we all kind of know who we are. And what we do, but I guess we really didn't explain what we do each, right, a little bit. So why don't we maybe tell each other, just talk about that a little bit. Me is, I guess I've got a lot of hats I wear. And some days I have to change them hats up and, depending upon what I'm doing. But with the IRAY companies that I've been working with the last 22 years, basically what's happened is that we've changed. We've changed a lot. But at the same time, I'm an auctioneer. I'm actually a master appraiser, and also with being an appraiser, I know a lot about equipment because that's kind of my forte. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I basically started back in early 2000, and I'm going on from there. And we're going to keep moving forward. So with that, Troy, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, grew up in the industry, being with Dad started in IRAY. Excuse me, when I believe I was about 16. Wasn't introduced into the industry because of the lineage that goes before us, but I came in part of it, and I did a lot of work out in the yard. Was where I started, and slowly migrated inside. So I got to learn about equipment, and then as my education and seemed like my purpose changed, I migrated over to the software and helping get an understanding, and we're trying to move forward with that.
So what do you do with software?
Right now we're preparing for release. So we're a combination of making sure that our customers have the proper paperwork and that they're informed on their decision that's about to take place.
What kind of customers do you have?
We have this company named IRAY right now. That's they're really pushing the envelope for us.
Oh yeah. So what kind of stuff are you doing for IRAY then? They're pushing that envelope.
Well, we're trying to bring them.
Hang on, Troy. Let me take on this big old man over here.
All right.
Okay.
Well, why don't you tell us a little about yourself before you take on the big guy? Okay.
You guys know what I do. I do the big programming. Jordan here works with me, but mainly I actually met Ray a long time ago. I'm a little programmer.
Go ahead and tell me how you met me. Before you take on the big guy.
That's what I was about to say. Was just how we met, which is I came out here to sell you a different software. And I was actually the developer of that software myself, made that all by my lonesome. And
What happened to that?
Well,
Yeah,
that
what
messed
kind
up.
of what kind of big man took you to test on that one?
Yeah, well, software is a complicated topic because every company does things differently. And that's what I learned after going to a ton of places. Last place I ever went was here. And that's when I met Ray, and I basically found out that he was using a Microsoft Access database. I was 20 years old that worked better than 90% of the softwares that exist to this day. And the simple reason is because it's a very simple customer management system where you can get reports for all your data, and that's about it. I mean, that's all you really need. And then all the different functionalities that come along with the, you could call them custom flows of a business where they do specific things for different industries. It was all in a Microsoft Access database, and that kind of functionality is really only existent in those really huge software platforms that we all know and love, like Salesforce, Zoho, all those kind of names and whatnot. But not to be specific, viewers. But you get the point. And yeah, and then after we did that, I actually built Ray and IRAY Companies a management system for their business, and that's how we all met. And now we're all here, and now we're all talking to you guys, doing more fun stuff like a podcast. This is the first of many, but yeah, and with that's I'm like Ray. We all wear a lot of hats around here because we're all doing a lot. We got sound guys over there. Evan over there is our Jamie over here. If there's a question about anything, we're asking that guy. Okay. Thanks, Joe Rogan. But yeah, Jordan, we'll get back to the software stuff in a little bit. Still just kind of introducing us and letting you get to know us a little bit. And then but Jordan, you want to?
Well, Logan set me up to meet Ray. Then our sound guy and a few other people decided to show up, and they all got hired with me. And I started as a graphic designer. Been doing that for probably 15 years.
Long time.
And then doing development on the side for about maybe 6-ish years, just in school. And then some stuff happened with one of our developers, so I decided to switch and ended up doing some stuff that was really cool. So that's just what I've been doing, and then combining them together to make cool UIs that everyone could use.
Well, I think that all together, you guys, I think that, what kind of happened was that when I brought on Logan onto the team, and we started with a rebuild of what we had that we started with, it changed kind of the whole picture of what we needed to do. And along with that, I thought Logan was kind of a Superman. So I said, wow, I said, you can build that. I said, you're going to be able to build what I need. I'll guarantee that, because I'll walk you through it. I'll keep you coming back so that at least you can have the experience, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and you can get it hands-on. You don't have to be like them normal programmers that sit in an office and think they're programming when they don't know what they're programming for.
Oh, I forgot to mention something too. Sorry to cut you off, my dear friend, but I just wanted to throw in the fact that both of us have a lot of experience in the industries that we're both good at, which is Ray's experience in the auction industry and doing things for many years. I mean, 20 years just here. 22 years. Sorry, folks. And then he's also a third generation auctioneer. And, he's been doing this kind of stuff and has been in his family a long time. But and even me, I've been doing software my whole life. I've dedicated my whole life to software and making software good. And that's our mission here at IRAY Companies and Brad Software, is not only for us at Brad Software making good software for businesses, but also IRAY Companies having good relationships with their customers and just securing all the good deals that you possibly can. I mean, we just had a news article published about IRAY Companies, and that was they were detailing all the different companies we work for, big companies, and sell their equipment and do things like that, and it's real good stuff. I mean, the secret is out, folks. We're building great software, and we provide great service at IRAY Companies with that software. So, whether it's this or that, we're doing it. I'm sorry, but let's get.
Yeah, I mean, and that's right. The one thing that that when we met and we got together, you basically, I said, well, how can we make this come along a little quicker because of the development, and you're inventing when you start putting software programs together and all these other things that make this come together, it becomes an invention, and it's invention in the new way. I mean, it's no different than having a Harley and then having a Kawasaki and that kind of thing, but they all run on different rubber. They all have different rims, but and different motors and so on and so forth. But they've got the same kind of drive. They're moving forward. Yeah. And and what we found out was the Fortune 500 companies were building the software, but they're kind of keeping it secret. Yeah. And we felt that, hey, we can do this. And I say we because I'm kind of guiding everything along here as far as part of it.
IRAY Companies, literally, like what
it's a mock-up, basically.
I mean, what we started doing with IRAY Companies ultimately grew into what is Brad Software. And, IRAY Companies was basically the beta testers of the software, even though it was for IRAY Companies to begin with, because it kind of transitioned. When I first met Ray, it was just me building his business of software. And then once we realized what we've got, we were like, okay, we're going to actually take this and even let's share it. Exactly. And that's what's going on here, which kind of leads us, we've been talking about new software and great things, which kind of leads us into our first topic, which is new equipment, which is what we got sitting out. I mean, we don't got new equipment, but we got a lot of good equipment sitting out there, don't we, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, we've our auction coming up tomorrow. If I mean, I say tomorrow, but we've got tomorrow every day because we've got auctions coming on every 4 to 6 weeks is what we've been doing, and what's been helping us is the software. I was just kind of getting close to telling how these guys came on board. You know what I mean, as far as with Brad Software, and also with the the design and the mock-up for IRAY Companies. And I know that, when Logan was on with me and we were talking about how we could speed this deal up, it came down to a couple different things. He said, well, I've got some friends that could help with some different areas that I really would like to be on the back end programming. And I'd like them to do some things in their expertise, which is graphic design, animation. Another programmer would actually hook the back end to the front end. So I mean, there's programming on both ends of this thing. So you've got a whole center line there. And I said, well, let's bring them on. Let's talk to them. Let's see what we can do. And that's when it started. And it started with everybody and that came in, and then they had to really kind of learn how each other wanted to do things. And I think that they worked well together. I mean, we all have our differences. We know when to walk away, and we know when to come back. And I think that that's kind of the key to, a success. But then after we got going there for a while, I said, well, we're going to have to start marketing this deal and get going. Old Troy comes up and decides to, hey, I'm kind of in between. You got anything else to do? He says, because I'm kind of doing something different here. And I said, Troy, I says, I kind of do have something to do. But I said, let me show you, and you decide, what your thoughts are there. And I kind of pushed him in to go on a trade show. So he actually went to the Nationals. That was was that your first deal, the Nationals?
Yes, sir.
National Auctioneers. So a national convention for the auctioneers. He went his first trade show he ever did. And we put things together as far as that goes. And Evan and Jordan and
we may
Logan.
look new, but what the viewers may not know is that I have been to plenty of conventions, and we've done we're not new to anything over here.
No, all I meant was that when we showed up there.
Oh yeah, they're definitely looking at us like the new kids on the block, just because they're scared. Every company should be shivering in their timbers, if you ask me.
Yep, because we're gonna definitely when we hit that ball, she's gonna go out of the park.
Oh yeah, and none, this is where I won't name any names, but there's been some problems in these industries, and that's what we're here to solve. But neither here nor there. The first trade show did go great. Troy's been going to many trade shows since that too, and Troy is great at it. I think he's got that just ability to sit there and talk to people. So,
what's the main thing that people are looking for at them trade shows, Troy?
Well, people are very interested in the way that the new design of the way that CRMs are handled and function.
What is a CRM?
CRM is it's your customer database, if we're going to break it down into the most simple of terms, I guess. Which ours has a lot of added functionalities and tooling, but they're people are interested in that, and they want to know about it because it's something that's coming to the forefront of the industry a lot, and they're getting told a lot that white label, independentize yourself, self-hosted. These are all things that are intended to bring the industry forward, and that's also what our intention is when we
It
come
kind of
forward
keeps
with
the
that.
small guy back in business, doesn't it?
It does. We believe that it puts that power back in their hands, and then for the small guy to actually have their own bidding platform. I mean,
What would you consider small guy? Anybody under what, $1 billion or 100 million, or what are you thinking for company wise?
if I'm being completely honest, my idea of small before going to conventions and my idea of small after going to conventions are different. Growing up in this going up with this company around me, for some reason I always fell under the understanding this is just the size that all of them were. I was wrong, and there's a lot of, and there's no disrespect intended because I think it's amazing how much can be done with so few people. But the average auction company doesn't seem to be more than 4 to 6 people, really. I mean, that's
Well, we can run IRAY with 9.
it's
It's crazy what a small team can do when they actually stick together and get stuff done.
Well,
yeah.
and just to kind of lay that on the line is that when COVID hit, you know what I mean? And that was a whole different animal for us. I mean, we had it where we had up to 600 to 800 people coming in here and having auctions and having a good old time, and they'd stand in front of you and, you'd know Joe or Fred or Sam and whoever coming up in front of you, and you could say their name and say, hey, Joe, you want back in, don't you? And today's world is a little bit different than that. COVID hit. We ended up where they said, you can't bring anybody in.
Hang on a second. We just need to address that real quick. I'm not going to be that awkward guy who just lets that slip by happening.
What was that?
That was my laptop because it wasn't muted. The dang notifications come through the thing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry over there. Okay. Don't give me the death look. I love you. Okay.
All right. Well, then do the mute thing, okay?
Yeah. Oh, that button was hit. I just let it awkwardly fade away first.
Wow. So on that serious note, basically, and I'm not trying to be serious. I'm just kind of telling the story,
Yeah.
Basically, we took this to the next level. We embraced technology and we moved forward so that we could do business no matter if COVID hit or some other epidemic. And how we did that was that we could have individuals load their own things up so the social distancing is there, right?
Mm.
And they could use their own camera, not like this, but like this, take them photos, and also they could load up their information because they know more about their equipment or anything else than we do at times. I mean, there's things that we know that'll do or what they have or stuff like that comes down to particulars.
And also, compared to the rest of the industry, we were some of the first companies to do it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we were the leader in that technology in that industry as far as the process and procedures. And what it boiled down to was that we had to move forward, embrace the technology, and move into the same direction. Now, we didn't want to lose the bid calling because it's been in the family for, golly, since the 40s, And actually, bid calling, can you believe it or not, bid calling started back during the Egyptians. And how they did that was, did you know during the Egyptian time that if they had goods that were, royal, and they were in a royal, party, that they had a household that within the royal, nothing could be just taken and given or handed down to somebody else to take. It couldn't happen. So that household, if they got out or something happened to them, they would actually resell it at auction to everybody that was within the circle. So it couldn't go out of the circle because people couldn't own, items that were of royalty. So it's kind of cool. So auctioneering has been going on for thousands of years. It didn't just start back in the 1800s or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, there is something about Colonel. Colonel started back in the actually, let's take it back. Civil War. Okay. When the Civil War was, the only ones that could sell off the merchandise from the government was a colonel and above. Mm-hmm. So the only thing they could do was they had to train in civilians because they didn't want privates and everybody else selling the government merchandise.
That's right.
So what they did was they took them and they trained them in. As soon as they got to accredited college, they gave them an honorary title of what? Colonel. Colonel.
And auctioneer.
Well, they are the auctioneers too as well. So, no, it's all good stuff. And we've been moving forward with it. So let's go back to some topics.
Yeah, that's the first topic on the list. Is the
micro excavator.
yeah.
Japan.
So what do we have to say about that micro excavator there?
It's electric.
It's weird?
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, it is kind of weird, but the one thing about it is that it's a kid's toy. And if you're going to start kids out early, you're going to want to start them out early if you want to have them to run an excavator or something. It's probably, look at that toy there. Isn't that kind of cool?
You think it's a
I
toy?
don't think it's a toy.
I would absolutely
Is
play with that all day long.
a toy.
So,
They're renting them in Japan.
Well, they got to be short little kids.
the little Honda motors.
I'm going to tell you what they are. They are a sit-on. There's no roll cage on it, so it is a toy. You cannot take something like this, guys, unless OSHA just jumped out of the picture, or Minshaw and all the rest. Because if you went in and started digging in somebody's yard
this
with that,
is in Japan anyway. It's not even. in the
well,
United
come on
States.
now. Japan still wants some safety.
It
They
looks
want
like
some
a-
people around.
It looks like a 4-wheeler with tracks
Japan
Yeah.
really has stronger.
It looks like a 4-wheel
with an excavator arm on the front
Well,
of it.
I'll beg to differ. It does have tracks on both sides, and it has a push blade on the front. And it is set up. But see, the biggest thing that they have a problem with is that when it comes to children
Come on, Sue.
and controls, why don't they take the controls and put them like they do in a Cat or a John Deere excavator if they're going to put you in an excavator? When they put you on these excavator games, guys, they turn around and give you buttons that are this and this and this. It don't make any sense. Why don't they give you controls just like they do in a real excavator and make things real? And then guess what? Once you learn by the time you're 8 or 9, heck, you can get a 49ers pay of $35-40 an hour just like that. And you go in at, well, actually, you probably wouldn't be able to do that because you got to be 18 to get in there. But maybe you could talk your folks into getting you an excavator and you can make a little extra money on the side.
I want to go to one of those parks that they've got.
Well,
They've got parks where you can go and just operate machines.
Where's that?
Diggerland.
Diggerland?
They
Yes.
That's a
literally have-
thing?
Yeah, it's
we
real.
do have the Diggerland. But they put you in a big bucket and then they turn around, take an excavator and they swing you up and down like this.
Oh, they let kids operate them too.
With the guys in the bucket?
No, nobody in the bucket.
No.
Nobody in the bucket.
Okay, well, I'd be dumped out. I could just see them splash and better have a pool
no.
behind there, huh?
But
I mean, it says
it does,
here. I
it
mean,
does almost look like a toy.
it obviously can't be compared to.
Well, it says a Honda motor, so Honda had to get involved in there. Komatsu did the thing, and
Yeah.
they say it's a PC 01E-1 electric micro excavator.
Someone did a review on YouTube already.
So it's kind of cool. It's a cool thing. So the bottom line is that, that unit would probably be cool to me in the event that it had the controls the same as a real excavator. Okay? That to me would make a lot more sense.
I think it's more like a powered shovel.
You think we should do is
That's
take
exactly
and
what it
maybe
is.
give them a write-up and ask them, hey, what are you guys doing to make your controls so that they are more standard to an operator, okay? There's somebody that used to drive equipment. Remember that? Remember you
Yeah.
said you'd like to drive that equipment?
Hey, we don't drive equipment. We
Okay.
operate it.
That's right. It takes an operator. You can't be a driver when you drive equipment. There's no steering wheel on there.
That's right.
They
Only
used to.
controls.
Yeah. So anytime you got levers on the side and this and that, you become an operator. You know that, right?
Yep.
All right.
And see, this thing just looks like it's a unpopular opinion. Things like this basically overpowered electric automatic shovel. Instead of you digging a little trench, you are literally just
Around here.
being lazy and letting the machine do the
Wow.
work for you. It's like it's kind of like comparable to like a lawnmower, electric lawnmower. Like
it
well,
does,
I'd like to know what kind of.
lawnmowers are bigger.
you could get a gas powered one,
But I
and it
think
would
they
be
got-
faster.
I think they have some plastic, rams and stuff like that on this and sticks. I'm not sure, but we should find that out because that'd be kind of cool to know.
Yeah, if it was metal, I mean that it is probably metal. I mean, if I had to guess, but
Once they were in
IRAY buys a micro excavator.
if they made it plastic, it really is a child's toy.
You see what the delivery time is on one of them,
Probably a year.
or better, two maybe.
Well, I suppose that they designed that for underground when you're already enclosed in the building. So
Well,
you're
that would be
having
kind of cool,
exhaust
if you
and
want to dig
everything
some
like that.
footings, right?
I don't know about footings. I don't think you'd reach, but I got a feeling you'd be able to dig in your plumbing and your underground electrical and all that stuff.
Well, that's the way to put your kids to work, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Get them working on there instead of a video game, and they could be putting the plumbing in for
they might
somebody's
have a little
house.
bit of fun too.
Yeah, they'd have fun doing it.
That is not an endorsement.
No.
Oh,
No,
be safe. Be
Which,
safe.
since we've already talked about the toy, now we can maybe talk about
The
you know,
not
this.
toy?
Yeah, the not toy, which is this new John Deere 904 P tier wheel loader.
That's supposed to be not a toy.
Oh, that's
that's
not a toy.
Yeah, 904 ain't a big. I mean, well, I should say it is and it is, but a 904 is a pretty good size unit. So we're probably looking at somewhere in a 5 1/4 bucket or something like that on that one. I would think, huh?
I mean, it's pretty big.
You could grab that and kind of open it up and see what we have for schematics on that. But that's a nice, yeah. You know, John Deere, they've been making some really good equipment. You know, and it comes down to that. You know, what runs a piece of equipment is rams, the pumps, and the motor. Now, when it comes down to controls, they definitely help. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you don't have the right controls in there, they're not going to last. And these guys are toggling and they're switching and you're moving all the time. So, you know, there's some cool things. But I'll tell you, John Deere has had some really phenomenal things going on with their equipment, because their equipment is definitely a lasting piece of equipment. But, you know, I'll tell you the truth. It doesn't matter how new the equipment is if you don't have the support when you do need somebody to help you fix it.
Well, and that's something that John Deere just actually got done being with their
One of our
lawsuit.
topics, that's a
Yep.
transition right there.
They're
What do you mean moving from
John Deere,
running?
right to repair.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're the right to repair and the ability to.
Yeah, they're doing that.
Not only John Deere can work on stuff. Isn't that amazing?
Well, they're going to send you the part and they're going to give you the schematics. They're going to say, hey, bolt her on, boys. We know you got some
Just
tools.
like every other industry
should
out
have done
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're the first. Everybody else says, let me fix it. I'll be there in 2 weeks. You know, and these poor guys, they turn around, they got a short summer. What are they going to do? They're going to stand there with their hands in their pockets with 12 guys because you ain't going to fix their stuff? That ain't a good day. Because guess what? You still got to pay them. Everybody's got to make a living, right?
That's right.
So that's kind of a cool deal too, you know. John Deere, kudos, you know, doing a good job. It's moving forward. That's the name of the game. You got to move forward with not only technology, you got to move forward with the new things in the industry that actually will get you, you know, to where you need to be. Just like we're talking about Brad Talk a little bit here, you know, the nice thing about some of the Brad stuff we're doing, or you guys are putting together, is that what won't it work on? We talk about Brad alone. Logan, that's a question for you.
I'm sorry. What was that? I was looking at our next topic here,
Okay,
which
well-
is boom truck simulator.
Well, I'm kind of, I moved out of it just for a second. I just said, you know, as far as the Brad Talk here, what items or what doesn't it work on?
Nothing, because like I had mentioned earlier, the reason that software oftentimes doesn't work in the end is because the specific software package needed to adapt to some companies' specific way of working. And some companies have found workarounds for that for many years, albeit letting people add features to their software within certain parameters dynamically, like what we would call custom fields, where you can put your own categories for certain into a software. Or another example would be, you know, even updating your logo on some interface, or just really simple stuff like that. But the more complicated functionalities, like even online auctions and things that require a slew of certain flows of you know, software, it's important that every business is different. Okay, that's what I've learned at least all these years.
So-
is like you do something different than Jim Bob down the road, because they all do something that they like and that works for them, and that's how it is. And those things can be different things, like just data that they track on their customers, for instance. Like if they want to know, you know, what year he bought a previous piece of equipment or something like that. Some companies like to know that kind of stuff. Most do. But, you know, one guy, you know, will be like, no, I don't want to track that year. Or, you know, I want to track something else related to maybe the equipment, or
But we're
I want
talking.
to track this particular whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
But we're talking about like I mean, like a Mac or an IBM or
devices.
devices
I
that
thought
you
you
use them
meant,
on. They'll use. You can use any device to use this, right?
Oh
Or
yeah, it's
to
all
operate it.
cross-platform. And that's like the new
So-
wave of technology.
So
anyways, is
now,
you have
does that mean that I don't have to go to an app store or anything else to load it and use it and that kind of thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, but well, basically, the website itself is what is the app. I mean, it's no different than any big. You think of the
So it's
the
all
big companies.
browser usable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you could also install the actual apps on your phone if you wanted to, which is just it adds like just a little bit better of an experience. It gives you access to a couple bit more features that you may not have in the web browser. Like, for instance, a lot of people like to use different features of like their phone, like I don't know, even like a LiDAR sensor, which is most of the newer iPhones have, which are like 3D scanner things. Can't exactly access that sensor in your phone without it being installed as an app on your device. The web browser just doesn't allow that to happen for certain reasons related to security. You wouldn't want everybody just to be able to access your camera and everything else just based off a simple load up of a website or a click of a button. So same philosophy, right? And all that stuff just leads into the cross-platform stuff because it works on the mobile, works on desktop, it works on everything, and there's standards out there that all the wondrous engineers who came before us have bestowed upon us as the users of all this technology. Like even I got a Mac sitting right here, but Jordan's got a Windows computer, but we both got the same stuff pulled up, reading the same articles, and Ray over there has got his phone and he's looking at the same articles we're looking at, and it's all on the same stuff, and it's all the same stuff on different devices. And it's just only the big companies have that kind of stuff. Most of the smaller companies don't really have the capability to do specifically that and have the things that are really important to companies like offline functionality. I mean, these companies, like, even though they have offline functionality to a certain extent, they could care less about offline functionality just because they're literally such an online platform. But businesses benefit greatly off of offline systems because
So you're saying that that in the Brad system you can function online or offline,
yeah, of course.
and any computer, any phone, anything.
Yep.
So basically, there's your limits. You took out them limits.
Now there are limits to the online or offline functionality, which is like, a practical example would be like video calling your friend. I mean, like,
Yeah,
there's
you're
things that
offline. You surely
require-
ain't going to get. Oh, there's no
Right.
wire there, so
But
nothing
for
hooked
data
up.
entry and things of that nature and stuff that could be inputted into the system and then given to the server later to then distribute to everybody else who may need to see that is a really good feature for even outages. Like if you're a company who's got a bunch of, the perfect example would be a data entry business where literally all they do all day long is enter data or something like that.
She wouldn't stop or
It
slow
wouldn't
down.
stop just because your internet went out. Somebody wrecked into the phone pole outline or outside, and now the whole thing is offline.
And then as soon as online comes, boop, she loads it right up.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
So it's AI.
Oh, it's got all kinds of different artificial intelligences in it. I mean, they do different purposes, and some are even you never even know they were there just because they're not even for you. Like even accessibility options and things like that just do things behind the scenes that are required by a lot of state compliances in the United States, by the way.
Yeah.
But-
Well, we had to go with that. We had that. What do you call it? 508
It's just
section.
like any other business. There's things that are standardized in your industry, and you have to conform to those standards. Otherwise, you're not really considered up to their standards,
Yeah.
and therefore, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of work we've been doing with all that technology and such.
Cool.
That's not
All right.
Jim Bob.
That's what?
That's not Jim Bob.
Who's not Jim Bob?
You called Troy Jim Bob.
I didn't call Troy Tim Bob. I reached right off screen and said Jim Bob was way behind our audience over there. Jim Bob
I
might even be in
I
our
dodged the
audience.
line.
You out there, Jim Bob?
Jim Bob's there. Don't worry. He's there. So what's our next truck we're going to talk about here? We'll give him a little.
simulations.
Yeah, exactly what we were
Some
segueing into
boom-
a second ago, which
boom
was
truck
simulators. Like, you're talking about how all the simulators out there.
I dig.
There's a couple good ones, but none like up to the standards of whatever. And this is probably leading into a private conversation of some cool simulators that could be built in the future.
Yeah.
I dig this.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty cool looking.
So a simulator is that now? What's the difference between like a simulator version or an autonomous? What's kind of this? Are they same? Are they close? Or
Well, I think the simulator is just a training.
Yeah.
That's
simulator
just to do
training,
training
autonomous
for
is
people.
Autonomous is like self.
So autonomous, she'll go out and do it itself.
So less
Yeah.
boom truck operators drop things on my Ferrari.
You got a Ferrari?
Yeah, it's parked right outside. It's called a Crown Ferrari.
Ford Crown Ferrari.
This simulator, I was reading on it, and it says that with that crane, it'll simulate the use of unstable soil underneath it. It'll simulate
Will it flip the truck over and everything?
wind. Well, no, but inside the pad system of the crane, the hydraulics will move to simulate high winds to simulate.
That's phenomenal. That's like
It's,
auto adjusting, like my motor coach does.
some
You know,
mechanics.
going down the road and the wind hits the side, she automatically adjusts right back and forth.
Simulates the.
You know, I got a boom
physics.
truck one time. It was one of those ones that go out like 125 feet, and it would put concrete out as a pumper truck. The guy had it all the way out, and he he was going to bring it all in. He brought the legs up, and he swung the thing to the side, and it flipped the whole truck right over.
He needed to play
Saw a lot of
this.
stuff, but
Yeah,
I've
he
never
needed,
saw
he
that.
needed to
truck
play the
simulator.
boom truck simulator.
Oh, he should have been playing with it because it would have educated him well. I mean,
You
or
see,
had
I
the
do this stuff
automatic
for fun.
or the automatic legs on it would have been cool because as soon as that thing started tipping, it went weep, right down. You know,
Mhm.
that would have been because the switch would have been on, and he didn't have it lock and load it. You know, yeah, we sold that truck, and I'll tell you what, the guy wasn't happy. 'Cause his insurance company did pay him for it. You know what I mean? And they had to cut the boom off though because she's a little tethered. You know,
Wonder why.
right? So, anyways, we did sell that truck at auction afterwards, and the guys they did something else with it. Probably put a water truck on it or something like that, a water tanker.
Oh yeah.
Who knows? But anyways, yeah, kind of a cool. That's simulators would be the way to go.
I'm still envisioning that truck tipping over some operator.
Could you imagine being the guy running the controls and that thing flipped over? Boy, he better get out of the way
Especially
quick,
not
huh?
when everybody around him started
But just
laughing at
think,
him.
125 feet. He said that they're doing it right where a new house built was in a development.
Oh,
He said it went between a house and a garage.
Oh, so you're lucky.
real lucky.
Oh my
lucky.
God. I've seen some real things, I'm telling you.
That
So
would've been real bad.
that wasn't real great. I mean, it was at least nobody got killed.
Maybe they'll make an excavator one so Logan knows how to walk it.
Oh, hey, I seen one. You know, I'm not going to name names, but it was north of off from 35W. This guy went out with a skid steer, and he was going to go out, and he had to go through his bog and retrieve, you know, and cut down with his skid steer, knock stuff down. Well, he went down to it had frozen ground, but what happened was the ground broke away. It was in a swamp, and they didn't get real hard, and he sunk it. So it sunk, so the motor was, and he couldn't get forward or back. So he hired a company with an excavator to walk out so far and grab it. So they laid piling kind of like logs and
Like they would have laid out some padding for him.
paddings, right? And swung them out there and got them all out there. They grabbed onto him with a hook and a chain. And once he started pulling on it, the padding went this way. It slid right off the padding. Hey.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. And
that
they
was so funny.
they came back the next day because they couldn't get it. You know, they had to get a wrecker out there. Well, the thing, all you could see was the name of the company on the boom. It was sunk in. So they got a wrecker out there. The wrecker says, we can't get it. It's too far out. So they had to build a road out to it and pull their excavator out and then pull the skid loader out. Not a cheap day.
Not a cheap day at all.
Yeah, that was
I
unreal.
wish I could have watched.
Oh my gosh.
Was it a John Deere?
Actually, it was a Caterpillar.
Oh no.
At least he can fix it.
Caterpillar excavator.
Yeah, at least he can fix it on his
I
own.
guess he can with a John Deere now too.
No, he can't fix it on his own. That had to have been John Deere.
Oh, Cat doesn't let people do it either.
Well,
it's
Cat will
kind of it was somewhat of a universal rule almost along almost all
I'm only-
manufacturers. That
Didn't-
they made it so you had to bring it to a dealer. It's the same with a lot of the automotive products now.
Interesting.
You have to bring it to the dealer to get it fixed.
I've only heard it really with John Deere, but
Or
that's
void your warranty.
Right, the
Yeah, it
warranty
can,
deal, it can, depending upon what kind of fixing you're going to do. You know, if it's a track and a link or something to that degree, they'll send you the parts and you can put your mechanic to it, you know.
Mhm.
But a lot of times these guys are, you know, they want to come out and do the maintenance. And really, you know, with the workforce today, mechanics, they're a little harder to get because these big companies are turning around and hiring them so they can run around and fix this stuff. Otherwise, they can't fix it. And you're doing is you want to operate it and you want to operated to make money. And the fixing part, that's why you want to stay new enough or late model or clean enough. So that way you're not fixing when you're working, because it don't make you no money. So it changes the whole game, and there's getting less and less people out there that want to go out and do this game. That's why you're going to be seeing in the next, I'd say 5 years for sure, autonomous is going to be coming in pretty heavily, So
very popular.
Yeah,
what's that?
Ray's always getting phone calls.
Ray's looking down his
Now-
phone
now
going,
who's got the
okay,
thing?"
now who wants to sell something here?
The cash register is ringing.
Well, I'll tell you, it ain't ringing until they're bringing the money to me.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, autonomy will be coming soon, and what do you think, Troy? Will hauling jobs be gone in the near future?
Well, I think that a lot of them are already kind of being gone. I mean, if you look at the progression that's come, we got Caterpillar here, but we've also got, I believe Walmart has started their fleets to be autonomous. I mean, it's just going to keep spreading.
Tesla's coming out with that new semi too.
I mean, you go to
I love you, Elon Musk, but
Yeah, I mean it's ugly, but it works.
What's that?
they're kind of ugly. I'll give it that.
What's that?
criticism. The
Tesla.
Cybertruck.
oh my god,
Not the small one.
No,
I don't
he
think it's
re-
called the Cybertruck.
He
but it's a
rebuilt
giant
that
semi.
truck.
It's a
Giant semi.
Oh, that semi, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of that pickup truck that looks like a giant wedge. Just goofy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, old Elon,
wedge?
he did the
That's
right
what it
thing.
looks like to me. Yeah.
He sold out right now on all of his cars. He sold out right now till 2023.
Yeah, on the cars. The cars are cool.
Yeah, they're sold out.
The big semi truck. I don't know about that one, Chief.
Well, I'm telling you what,
They do go fast though.
if you go to it, yeah, they'll do 200 mile an hour. Bam, you're gone.
Hey, look, you're gonna be getting your Twinkies and Hershey's chocolate about 5 days sooner now, folks, thanks to Elon
Well,
Musk.
Once he gets the autonomous on top of that truck and stuff, I mean, it's going to be some cool stuff. I mean, right now you can't even get into a California port unless it's electric truck.
Well, then
Got to be electric.
electric trucks. You don't have to shut down.
Well, right. They just turn
You
off
run-
when you
run
let off the
24.
fuel, right?
I didn't even know those were a thing.
Well, I
These
mean,
aren't electric.
What, electric trucks?
Yeah, like electric semi trucks.
They have them all over.
mhm.
Really?
I think Mercedes was like one of the first ones.
Well, guess who bought Mercedes?
Well, the things I heard about them online
You know who bought Mercedes?
Mr. Musk.
are that they don't have a long enough
Musk.
range.
That's a lot of what we've come
Yeah.
into a problem with for electric vehicles in general is range,
Mhm.
battery life.
Well, at least with the cars, it's pretty comparable. Like
These
you get
are-
a full charge, you got to like on a full tank of gas, you get like 300, 400 miles, maybe even 450 if you got a really good newer car. But with
These
Teslas, they're basically the same, like 300 miles, something like that. I don't own a Tesla. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but it's pretty comparable. But with the semis, it's like ridiculously different, right? Like it's like you're getting like 400 miles, whereas most semi trucks get like 800, 900 miles and stuff like that. So
Well, and that's true, but you also have to look at how many miles they let them drive a day now,
that's
and
yeah.
it's less. So you could stop and charge, and and it's how long will them batteries last is a part of the deal. The other piece is in electric you only got 20 moving parts on a with a
Internal
engine internal combustion, you've got 200 moving parts. So a lot more wear, a lot more things going on. Now I did have to do, I did an appraisal for a gentleman on a Tesla. And why I had to do that appraisal is because he let somebody rent the car from him and they got in an accident.
Oh, no.
And the insurance company was only going to pay him a certain amount. And the only way that he could get any difference in compensation was that he had to have the appraiser, that's a master appraiser, give them an appraisal that was of true value for him. And I did. And I had to really, study up on that car because, I mean, it's got so many features that are far beyond what you would think. And what I mean by that is that, did you know if you got hit in the front of that car, the hood is designed to go up so it doesn't hit you in the windshield and goes over the car? So it would slide whatever you hit over the car. Also, if you took and you slid sideways with that car and you went down the ditch, it has weights that actually come up so you can't roll the car. It's got so many features to it, it's phenomenal, that make that car more superior than a regular car that we have out there today.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely.
These
Teslas are awesome.
these cats aren't electric.
Plus, you got to buy a battery, and then there's the option of just blowing it up, I guess.
But
Blowing a battery up?
But the
But-
YouTube video where the guy you didn't want to pay 25 grand for a battery, so he decided to make it go boom.
and they don't even all have to be electric if you think about that too. They could be just remote controlled gas powered things too. I mean, like even though like electric is taken over and maybe good at other things, like people love that self driving feature. But there's plenty of cars that have similar, not like Teslas. Don't get me wrong, Tesla's amazing. Like, you could dang near just let it go, and it's going to drive you all through the city with that latest version of their self driving software. But even companies like Cat, they use autonomy on their bigger stuff. Like even like when you're grading and doing all kinds of different stuff, it's automatically doing stuff for you, and the computer's aiding you in your work.
GPS.
There's good things that autonomous stuff can do, and then or even like on this article they got like big dump trucks that are just running back and forth between places.
Well, they are putting electric in, because I know that on the new dozers, even on some of the bigger dozers, they're putting electric drives in. They still have a diesel engine. They're like a train. You know how a train works, right?
Yeah.
A train has the engine is running the generator that charges the batteries that run the locomotive.
Right.
So they're electric. And I don't know if a lot of the audience knows that or not, but they're also doing that with Caterpillar now, with the dozers, because the drive on electric is so much straight and stronger going forward,
Mhm.
because you have an even push all the time. And they're a lot faster and they're quicker, on how they operate as well. So it's kind of a cool thing. There's a lot of things that are kind of mixed that are going on, but you're right. You could use diesel or gas or even propane, or even they're doing water, hydrogen, so you can run an engine out of hydrogen.
Natural gas.
We're
Yep.
living in a crazy time, a lot of crazy
Mhm.
technologies, and
But they're looking
engineering
for the
stuff.
cheapest and the most economical with the least amount of emissions. That's the kind of deal. Let's kind of stop all these blueprints, their footprints that we're putting across the world, and and clean her up a little bit,
Yeah.
So that's
There is a question on this topic.
there is. Okay.
Yeah. Is this gonna take people's jobs? Self-driving cars.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Well,
How
you
many
don't get enough
people have
applying
help
for the
wanted
jobs to
signs
begin with.
out there, dude? We need to take their jobs. They don't need to stay home. If they're going to stay home, they got to get a check somehow. I guess the government will help them out,
Calling
maybe.
jobs. I mean, like
the producer's
some-
question. Okay.
some may have, some may not. It's like
Also,
it's no different than anything. It's like when if your job gets taken someplace, another one opens in another place because somebody's got to fix that machine. So
I was just
um,
wondering, like, wouldn't they want somebody kind of close to it at all times in case something does go wrong?
Well, if something goes wrong, you want to be far away from it, but you want it on a
I mean, if
camera.
they get a flat
No, you
tire,
the
you want it-
machines
you
will
want it on-
attack.
You got on the cameras. You got cameras. You've got signals. So no different your phone. If you were turning around and looking at your cameras that are, and you're sitting in Mexico and you're watching your cameras, you could operate something from there too, right?
Mm.
So it's no different. I mean, to have the thing to operate on or to operate it, it's autonomous. They're programmed to do this and do that, and boop, 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 they're gone.
I'd venture to guess there's a lot of infrared sensors.
you think it sends a distress signal
Well,
when
even-
there's a flat tire?
Oh, I
mean,
think the
there's-
tire sends the signal.
There's a lot of
Because just like my motor coach, it's got tire pressures right there.
Yeah.
So you can watch all the signs. That's why I said, remember what I was talking about for IRAY? I said, I want all kinds of gauges. Why? So I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Same deal.
well, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I think the state of used equipment and everything like that is pretty crazy because with all the new technologies coming out today, like you were mentioning, with all the electric powered diesel motors that are essentially like electric vehicles, but they're being powered while they drive instead of having to stop for a charge, which is kind of like how that Prius worked. And it's like the same thing the auto industry tried to do, where they got like a car that's like half gas, half engine, and a car is a little bit different than a train, but you get the point. Like they're always trying to advance, and I think that's something that's always like, if you think you take any piece of equipment from way back when, it's uncomparable to even something in 2001. You know what I mean? So,
Should we tell the Prius story?
what Prius story? I don't
Or-
think we got time for that. I mean, we only got a couple more minutes here, folks. So we're going to have to be quick with what we get our final thoughts on the state of the industry,
Sure.
which I think is moving forward pretty fast. If you ask me.
I think you're exactly right. I think that with what we're doing or where we're going with the industry, there's a lot of unanswered questions, of course.
Mhm.
But then there's also people that are doing and that are experimenting and that are making things happen. And I think that that makes the difference on who you are and what you do in this world. You got to take the chances. You have to look at this is uncharted. It's no different than when you see in Star Trek, you think, beam me up, Scotty. Well, they're already talking about warp drives, and you look at it and go, how can you fathom a warp drive? And they're saying, well, they've got even jets out there now that will run so fast because of the warp drive and the technology they have with engines that they say from here to Chicago is 4 minutes. Really? Could your body handle that? But they say that with warp drive, it puts you in suspension inside the unit, so it doesn't have that force against you. It's like somebody pulling you versus you pushing you to there.
Weird technology. We're living in a crazy time, though. I mean, it's like just yesterday, it felt like, a lot of things you hear on the internet would be like, we don't know. That's pretty crazy. It can't be true. But nowadays, everything's so dang crazy. You don't know what's true.
Well, and that's where you do got to check it out and make sure that, you're looking at the right things and knowing the right things and dealing with the right people. That's kind of the deal, all the way along. But
so I think
speaking of right people.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all got some merch. Let's plug our merch, guys. Look, we got the IRAY Companies.
Whoa, some IRAY
hats. Might make those available soon.
Come buy at IRAY. Get yourself some equipment and some hats.
I even did the old buy at IRAY. You see this right here? It looks like a little dozer. That's what it is. But it's also what they call a stress reliever. And then if you get mad at somebody and you throw it, you're not going to hurt them too bad.
Oh, they bounce off pretty good.
They bounce off. Just don't let your kids chew on them. Okay?
Or your dog.
But this here, so if you want to go out and you want to be hunting and you don't want to get shot at, you got to have these legally in the state of Minnesota during deer hunting season. Serious.
Well, they'll see us out there probably. We'll catch you later. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll be talking to you again.
Everybody.
Yep. Thank you.